Hi, my name's Tim with Maintenance Care, and today I'm going to take you along with me to an interview I had with Mike Huber, who is an existing Maintenance Care member. Now, we're going to go over his usage in the last year, as well as the features in Maintenance Care that have made his life incredibly easy. So follow me along to the interview, and keep in mind there are going to be many of these to come. Okay, so I look forward to bringing those to you as well. Enjoy. First thing I just wanted to talk to you about is what initiated you looking into a maintenance software, and why did you choose Maintenance Care?
Sure. Um, I serve as the general manager of Lake Junaluska Conference and Retreat Center.
Mhm.
We had just lost a maintenance director, facility director, after 21 years, who
Wow.
essentially took all of the knowledge of our 52 buildings and all of our grounds with him in his head. Nothing was particularly written down. The PM systems were basically analog and uh, self-driven. And we've had a large number of longtime employees in the maintenance area rotating out to retirement. And so I began to look for ways to build a system that nobody has to go through what we've been going through this past year, and what was out there to capture that data.
That's a great idea. I'm not going to lie, that must have been a painful process, right? Having you lose everything and have to rebuild.
Yeah, it was. I came from a setting in upstate New York where I oversaw 6 facilities statewide, and we had begun to utilize a different system, a competitor of Maintenance Care, and we had only just started implementing it when I got this opportunity in North Carolina, and I too left, relocated right before COVID, and I was intrigued enough that what I did when I got here and the maintenance director retired, was I reached out to that other company and almost immediately stuck that company into the system, with a great deal of hesitation from my new maintenance director, to be candid. One of the biggest issues that your platform struggles with has nothing to do with what you all do. It has everything to do with maintenance people who, generally speaking, want to be out doing the work. They don't think of themselves as computer people or tablet people. They want to be out fixing things, climbing ladders, building things, repairing things. And it's my type of folks that are in offices at computers.
Yeah.
So that whole sell job that we have to do to help them understand how it makes their job easier, we ran into that regardless of what the system is, I guess I'll say.
No, that's a fair statement. And the mobile app, no doubt, makes it a lot easier for them when they're out on the site to kind of finish up the work orders and whatnot. But I can
It
understand
does.
their pain. I've been in their situation, but when I had my cell phone on me, I had it on me all day. And whether it's scrolling through Instagram or actually doing the work, I'd much rather have them doing the work. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, and we, to go back to your question a little bit and see if I can capture a little bit more of it. We implemented a different software, mostly to handle maintenance ticket items. We have 2 hotels. We actually have 3 lodging areas, 2 different hotels and a whole west end of lodging, not to mention an administrative building and then a more hospitality staff building. We have guests in the hotels that report maintenance issues, and we have 200 staff members that report things. And it's the classic carrier pigeon, phone call, radio call, telephone call, note passing by and saying, hey, by the way, the light on the 3rd pole from the left on the west end.
Yeah.
And it was just chaotic for the new maintenance director.
Just praying it comes across the proper desk, right?
Yeah, and they wouldn't be able to remember it.
It's very true.
And there was no way to prioritize those tasks. So how we found Maintenance Care was I was a co-faculty person at a ecumenical conference camp leaders class in Wisconsin, I guess a full year ago, and I brought up as a part of my risk management and operations portion that they, as also professional camp and conference leaders, needed to find a system that they could help manage their facility needs. This person gave a reference for maintenance care. And when I got home from that class, I started researching it. And lo and behold, it basically did everything the other one did. Candidly, it wasn't as shiny and iPhone-like looking and all the fancy bells and whistles, but it was very user-friendly. It was not focused on bells and whistles. It was focused on practical usability.
Yeah,
More importantly, and I'll be very candid with you, and you're welcome to use anything I say, but it was affordable in a way that was actually startling.
Yeah.
I had to ask several times if there was a catch, or was this going to change? You're going to get me hooked and I'm going to sign and then I'm going to get hammered. And so far, over a year into it, it is not the case. It is literally what you all said it would be. And it's affordable for an operation of our size to implement. The other platforms, you're paying a big amount for every user.
Absolutely.
And it was killing us. There was no way I could get my whole team of maintenance staff, let alone all the other people that I needed to have access to input. And maintenance care, we were able to use it.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head right there, Mike, right? Where we have unlimited users, it's user friendly, but also affordable, right? And especially with the ability to have unlimited users, if you have a vast set of like users you need in the system, the last thing you need to do is pay by user. And most of those platforms, even if you have 1 or 2 users, they still make you pay by 5 users minimum, right? So they get you in that catch, but at the end of the day, it's really probably more expensive than we are, even if you had 1 or 2 individuals using the system.
We found maintenance care over all the other ones we had researched and the one we had already started to implement as being more user-friendly, easy to use, and the unlimited users for the fee that we were charged was the deal breaker for us. We did not have to pay per user, and for our situation, having unlimited users and being able to use it easily with the care we got from the customer care person throughout the process was amazing. Frankly, it was unusually easy for how things go lately.
I love to hear that. See, unusually easy. That's a good way to hear it, right? Because in all honesty, you're right. In this software industry, it's a lot of bells and whistles and everything to get you hooked, but then they kind of forget about you and put you on the back burner. And we're not a small company, but we're not huge. Everybody who's a part of our system, we really care about, right? We take the time, we make sure everything's taken care of, and we want to make sure it works along the way, and you're continuously using it and getting the benefits. I think that's a big one.
Yeah, everybody we've worked with maintenance care from the first time I reached out to now has been very authentic, intentional, down to earth seems like a cliche, but relatable, not salesy, I guess I'll say. And frankly, the others that we worked with, at least the 2 we worked with, just as I was researching, definitely had a sales component feel to it, and it was a little bit more pushy kind of sales process. We had a phenomenal experience with our lead person, Susan, from maintenance care. She was and still remains to be incredibly helpful. And honestly, from the first conversation, it felt like she was a part of our team.
Yeah, she's amazing. Helps to integrate, but she's also super personable.
Very personable. And truly, it felt like she was literally a part of our team, not a salesperson. She really understands those different variables that an operation's working with, and she can relate it. She led a training for our maintenance team, and they understood her. She wasn't speaking above them. She didn't talk software talk. It was very helpful. We decided to implement the maintenance care with tablets for each of our maintenance techs. So we ended up buying tablets for each of them, tough books.
Yep.
And all of our landscaping crew and all of our maintenance and facility crew have these tablets now that they carry with them.
That's perfect.
There was some reluctance in the beginning from some of the team who are not the technology folks. It is now implemented in a way that it is second nature. We are adding 3 more tablets to another area now. We're looking at implementing housekeeping into the mix next.
So would you say that's one of your favorite parts about maintenance care is the usability on site? Is that something that you guys use? Well, it sounds like you use frequently, even purchasing the tablets, right? But is that one of your favorite features, and what would be another?
Yeah, one of our favorite features currently is that it is usable by the individual right on their phone or a tablet. And we implemented tablets, company-owned tablets for each of the people that use it. Um, I think another one of our favorite features is the ticket prioritization
Mm,
and the tracking of a ticket. So that if I put in a ticket for an HVAC system that isn't working properly, my maintenance director can track along that process and say parts were ordered, should be here in 2 weeks. I, as the person that submitted it, can log back in and see where it is in the process and not just wonder,
yeah,
why is that not getting fixed?
yeah,
There's
that's
a
it.
there's a communication stream within maintenance care if your staff uses it properly.
Yeah, it's
Um,
very true.
it is very, very helpful.
Well, the only thing we can guarantee is the software, not the human beings attached to it. Okay, so we
Exactly.
do our best from our end, but you know what? I've been in that same experience. I've been on the other side of this. I've been in maintenance myself, right? If I had had a software like this, my life would have been 100 times easier. Speaking of, how have your efficiencies increased in the system? We're using our system.
Efficiencies have increased substantially in using it. The more you use it, the easier it is.
Yeah.
It's like most other things. Maintenance care is very simple to begin with. It's not complex. It's not layered. So you don't have to do 5 things to get to one spot. It's pretty
Yes.
intuitive and straightforward. Um, the efficiency of assigning tasks to different techs has, how do I say this? Let me say it again. The efficiency has increased substantially in assigning tasks to our techs, uh, as opposed to the old paper format.
Or
Um,
texting and hoping to get it.
Texting or radioing, and the radio traffic is, multiple departments use the radios, so radioing about something broken. Um, from my perspective as a general manager, it's also creating a job log that is captured for me, and I can tell how much time we're spending on different areas. And when I go before my board or my executive team, I have hard data, not just anecdotal data.
Yeah, that's
And
very
I
true.
find that as the general manager to be very helpful.
Yeah, I can appreciate where you're coming from, right? Having the reports that you can run on all the information in the system helps enormously. And when you're looking for financing, right, being able to bring that up the line is hugely important. Even on the ROI end of things, right? You can show your return on investment and how many man hours are saved, right? Okay, look, we can see we have 40 hours to divvy up a week. They're only doing 20 hours here. I have room to kind of implement more tasks or preventive maintenance per a particular maintenance software or maintenance employee, if you will, right? So
Yeah,
that gives you that ability.
the ROI that we find being very beneficial with maintenance care, particularly from the general manager's perspective, is that if I find we're spending 100 hours on one HVAC system just to keep it limping along, I can go before my board and say, it's time to replace this one. We need the
Absolutely.
resources to put this $30,000 unit in, as opposed to these man hours, people hours, that we're spending just band-aiding it.
Yes. Yeah, I can appreciate that. I'm happy you're using the system in that way, right? Most people who get into the system, that's something that occurs, 3, 6 months down the road. Then they can see all the information they're inputting into the system starts to give them those values, allows them to forecast into the future for any kind of asset management down the line, right? So you can tell
Sure.
year after year as to what that may forecast that capital expenditures.
We worked with Susan early on when we started maintenance care to prioritize the phases that we were going to implement maintenance care. Phase 1 was honestly to do the internal communications with our team of what the value of using it is. And
Oh,
for us,
perfect.
that was a legitimate phase. That was a phase we had to, I bought the system just based on input from my IT director and myself working with maintenance care, because I knew we were going to implement it to some degree. It was a case of how far could we implement it and how fast we could implement it. We chose phase 1 being the internal communication with our team to get them on board, because there is some selling to do internally with maintenance folks.
Yes.
Phase 2 was the the task ticketing. And we're still implementing that to a greater degree, tracking times on different things and not just closing tickets as an assignment. But the tickets are going quite well, and that's up and running. We are on phase 3 right now, and we've actually implemented a volunteer in our community. One of the unique things about our facility is we're a retirement community as well as a conference center, and we have a lot of retired engineers and professionals that often help us do different tasks. And we have a volunteer who now is set up with a maintenance care user account, and he is helping inventory all of our assets and begin to input those into the system. So phase 3 for us, we're starting with vehicle fleet, and we're going to put all of our vehicle fleet in so that we can do PMs on oil changes and tire rotations. And
phenomenal.
We're just starting into the asset phase of implementing maintenance care.
That's great, actually. I mean, preventative maintenance alone is going to be such a massive undertaking that's taken off your plate, right? Because as soon as anything needs to be done in the system, it's launched, put into your task list, and you won't miss it. Nobody had to create it. It launches when you need it to. So I think that's a great aspect of what you're starting to use the system for. Trying to think what else I really want to ask you here. Maintenance tasks. Oh, yeah, I guess no, we did that. You've covered a lot here. I'm impressed there, Mike. You did your homework. No, you're using the system. That's what it tells me.
We're using it.
Yeah, that's a massive start. I mean, having these discussions, I always enjoy having them because now I understand your entire process on how you complete work orders, preventive maintenance, asset tracking, etc. But I also now understand a lot more about the system and where your pain points are. So when we go through these things, it helps us increase enormously as well in our efficiencies in our trainings and our implementation. Now, one thing about the implementation, we'll upload all your preventive maintenance and assets into the system. And I know you're accumulating your asset list now. Are you going to input them yourself or have our team do it?
I've said this clearly to Susan. One of our pain points had nothing to do with the software. It had everything to do with the internal communication to people who do not typically use computers or tablets or technology. They use a very different type of technology than what these platforms need you to at least have a familiarity with. And the more you can do some testimonials from maintenance folks that actually use it.
Yes.
You know, I'm the general manager who needs this data. I need it a roadmap. I need a trail. I need it inventoried. I need to make sure things are happening. And maintenance care does all that for me. So I can sell it to other general managers and other people who are familiar with this kind of platform and softwares. Selling it to maintenance men and women
is the other
is a whole different. It's a whole different conversation.
Very much so. They need
We
to
have
see their
crossed
lives
that
getting
bridge.
easier.
We're over that now. The challenge for us has been. Oh, I know what it was. You asked me if we were going to be entering our assets, or if we're going to have you do it.
Yes.
To be very honest with you, Tim, I didn't remember if that was an additional fee to go back to maintenance care and say, hey, I've got this document. Will you upload it? Or if I need to go back and say, hey, Susan, remind me how I enter it. My theory was our volunteer would end up being the one that enters it. I like the idea of you all entering it. But
everyone does. No, to be honest with you, when the initial onboarding goes on, we can enter all your assets, PMs, etc. If it's down the road, there'll be a fee, but it's not a heavy fee. If there's an abundance, it depends on how many assets there are to be presented, and then we can kind of discuss what that quote looks like. But it's always an opportunity or an option. If they're putting it on an Excel document anyway, have them put it directly in the system. Right? Like why the Excel documents in the system, same thing. You can export that at any time. Right. So don't do it twice, do it once.
Yeah. And we're starting with vehicles because that's pretty easy. It's what I call low hanging fruit. We already have the VIN numbers. We have the years because our insurance company makes us turn it into them. So we have it categorized already for insurance reasons. It's easy we already have the work done. We just need to import it. When it comes to roofs and when roofs were replaced or when HVAC units have been treated or assets in terms of food service equipment, we have 3 commercial kitchens. You're talking convection ovens and tilt skillets and steamers
And all that needs to be tracked in the system, right? So
all
if we
that stuff
upload
is
all that,
not in the system currently because you've got to go and actually inventory it.
yes,
So there's a fairly large portion of inventorying that has to happen before you can ever put it in the system.
that's true. And once that's complete, then we upload it for you, and that'll save a bunch. But until that's done, right, that's part of the process.
Right.
What would you say to clients who are thinking about getting maintenance care and coming on board? What would you say to them?
I would tell prospective clients that this has been the most user-friendly and the easiest team to work with of any of our software platforms, whether it's our donor software, our accounting software, our security software we use. Maintenance Care has been by far the most practical from a user's perspective and by far the most customer friendly in working with the team at Maintenance Care, hands down.
I hope you enjoyed the interview with Mike. We have many more interviews coming with real maintenance managers and directors that are using maintenance care on a daily basis coming soon. So thank you for watching and stay tuned.